Abandoned on my doorstep. 10 years later, an amazing court battle revealed a hidden truth. Emma's heart raced as she slipped the last of her notes into her briefcase, the crisp morning air whispering through the crack in her window. She was ready to defend what she had fought so hard to protect. Lily, her little sister. The baby swaddled in a blanket left on their doorstep a moment that had forever changed their lives. But as she sat in her car, thoughts of that fateful day felt like a heavy stone lodged in her chest. Could she really confront the darkness of their past and still shield Lily from it? During the years, they had built a life filled with giggles, make-believe worlds, and an unbreakable bond. Yet now, as Emma stepped into the courtroom, the weight of her family's secret loomed over her. She had spent countless nights questioning everything she thought she knew. Would her parents' hidden reasons for abandoning the past rip their family apart? The deep-seated anxiety buzzed beneath her skin, whispering that unraveling this mystery could destroy everything and everyone she loved. Emma fought the urge to practice her arguments. Practicing served no purpose here. Her brow furrowed as guilt twisted her stomach. My family loves Lily. Do I really want to dredge this up? Could the truth ultimately hurt her? Just then her phone buzzed. A message from her mentor, a seasoned lawyer, who had become her guiding light in this chaos. Remember, truth is your strongest ally. Emma responded with a deep, shaky breath, her resolve wavering under the pressure that had built for years. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The words echoed in her mind as she stood beneath the bright courtroom lights, surrounded by curious stares and murmurs. Was exposing their family secrets the right choice? With each passing moment, Emma's thoughts spiraled deeper. She felt sick, the tension grating on her nerves, her fingers twitching to reach for her notes. What if she lost Lily due to love? Innocent, sweet Lily. As she stepped forward to present her case, Emma's pulse quickened. The courtroom felt like it was closing in on her, faces becoming blurry, the air thick and heavy. Memories filled with laughter suddenly morphed into images of betrayal. How could she fight for a sister she loved fiercely, while also taking down the family she cherished? The line between justice and loyalty blurred, leaving her with an overwhelming sense of anguish. When the judge turned to her, Emma's heart thudded painfully. She was about to shatter her parents' fragile cocoon. With trembling hands and her breath hitching, she opened her mouth to speak. Would this turn everything into ashes or forge something new? Just before she could utter a sound, a revelation flashed through her mind, shattering every notion of truth she held dear. Emma stood there, suspended in a moment of uncertainty, realizing her family might never be the same again. Emma's breath caught in her throat, an internal battle igniting within her as she faced the judge. For a split second, time stretched and folded, blending her past and present into a chaotic swirl of emotions. The weight of her unspoken truths pressed heavily against her chest. Could she unearth the rationale behind her parents' decision and wield it for her sister's future? As she hesitated, the courtroom fell into a hushed silence. She could nearly hear the collective intake of breath around her. The eyes of family, friends, and unknown faces settled upon her, waiting for the inevitable reveal. In that moment, Emma's sense of self flickered and dimmed. She was not just a lawyer advocating in front of a jury. She was a sister, a daughter, and a woman grappling with a decade's worth of pent-up anxiety and fear. She forced herself to take a steadying breath, drowning out the murmurs of doubt swirling within. Lily has a right to know. She mentally chanted like a mantra, one that clashed violently with her visceral fear of tearing apart the fabric of their family. What would the fallout be? Then she thought of her sister's innocent smile, the way Lily's laughter filled their home with joy, and she knew she couldn't remain silent. Emma straightened her posture, clearing her throat as if to physically expel her anxiety. Your Honor, she began, her voice steadying with each syllable. This case is not merely about the legalities of guardianship, it's about the truth. The truth that has, for too long, lurked in the shadows. Each word propelled her deeper into a terrain laden with peril. With each phrase, images of the past stormed her mind, her parents' whispered conversations, their furtive glances, how they had swept secrets under the carpet while sharing smiles over dinner. Her resolve surged as she recalled why they had built a home cloaked in silence. A home that, at its core, felt more like a prison than a sanctuary. As her voice grew stronger, Emma felt a misunderstanding fracture within her, the tension between love for her family and her unwavering desire to protect her sister. Lily deserves to know who she is. She deserves to have a full understanding of her family history. The thoughts rushed through her mind like an unruly wind, chaotic yet impassioned. The judge's expression shifted, perhaps recognizing the gravity of her claim. Emma locked her gaze on him, determination hardening in her bones. She could not back down, not now, not when the stakes were so high. But was she ready for what might come after? In a moment of clarity, Emma resolved that the truth could be a catalyst for change, a way to redefine their tangled relationships instead of obliterating them. She pictured a future where honesty could forge connections instead of shredding them apart. The path forward remained obscured. Yet a glimmer of hope flared within her as she realized that growth often necessitated upheaval. There it was again, her mentor's voice echoing in her mind. Truth is your strongest ally. Emma felt a surge of confidence. Your Honor, I believe our family's history deserves examination. I stand here not just to uncover pain, but to reclaim the narrative for my sister's future, a future where she can thrive, unencumbered by the shadows of our past. As she finished, silence enveloped her. The judge's expression was inscrutable, and Emma felt the pressure of apprehension crawling under her skin. The weight of what she had just declared loomed heavily in the air. Yet she felt lighter somehow. In taking this step, she had unearthed a new part of herself, an advocate for truth, a seeker of justice, and above all, a fierce protector. But as she looked around the courtroom, she couldn't shake the rising dread at what lay ahead. What might her parents say? Would they fight back? Would they deny her assertions, attempting to salvage their fragile family image? The question lingered unspoken in the air, heavy and ominous, a tantalizing cliffhanger marking the transitional threshold between chaos and redemption in her life. Emma braced herself, knowing she had just begun this arduous journey toward self-discovery, but what awaited her now seemed both terrifying and exhilarating, a promise of the confrontation to come. Emma walked out of the courtroom, the weight of her declaration still reverberating in her ears. The widespread silence had shifted to a cacophony of whispers as she stepped into the hallway. Each conversation seemed to dance around her, unsure of how to address the magnitude of what had just transpired. This was not merely a legal battle. She had cracked open a familial wound that everyone had tried to ignore for years. In the brief solitude of the hallway, a flurry of emotions swirled within her. Trembling hands curled into fists. She fought to contain an anxious energy that threatened to spill over. Defiance mingled unsettlingly with fear, as she considered the backlash she would face. Her parents were bound to retaliate. Silence had been their weapon of choice for years, and now Emma had taken it from them. The realization unsettled her, but one thought burned brighter than the rest. She was fighting for Lily. For the first time in a long while, Emma saw a version of herself that was unafraid to disrupt the status quo. With each step toward the exit, clarity washed over her. She wasn't just advocating for a legal right. She was forging a path toward liberation for her sister. The moment she reached the door, her phone buzzed violently in her pocket. A text from her mother flashed on the screen. "We need to talk." The dread spilled into her vision, constricting her throat like a vice. Emma stopped, torn between confronting the storm brewing at home and retreating into the safety of avoidance. But what was avoidance but another layer of the cage they had built together? The very idea propelled her forward. She had already broached the subject in public. Could she not face them in private? As she stepped outside, a gust of wind blew through, carrying the distant sounds of the city, drowning her in a sense of urgency. Emma's drive home was punctuated by chaos, the honking horns, the flashing lights, the insistent rhythm of her heart pounding against her ribs. Her mind raced through the conversation she had refused to acknowledge for a decade. Would they meet her with anger? Would they plead with her to retract her words, desperate to maintain their illusion of a perfect family? Or would they finally admit the ghosts lurking in the corner of their lives? Upon entering her home, the silence was palpable, thick as fog. It was no longer the sanctuary it once was. Each framed family picture on the walls seemed to mock her resolve, encapsulating moments of untruth. She stood in the living room, the air heavy with uncertainty, knowing that confrontation waited just beyond the doorway to her parents' bedroom like a shadow waiting to pounce. Taking a steadying breath, Emma approached the door. She could feel her heart pounding louder with every step, nerves entwining with determination. It was time to shatter the silence that had dominated her life. But what if, amid their pleas and defenses, something darker lay hidden? Something that had driven them to silence all these years. The door felt like a confessional, the other side filled with secrets, regrets, and a legacy she had only begun to comprehend. With a mixture of dread and fierce resolve, she lifted her hand to knock. In her gut, she sensed that within this confrontation lay not just her family's truth, but the discovery of her own resilience, a deeper understanding of herself and the woman she could become. The moment held the potential to unravel everything she thought she knew or to build something brave and new. And in that fragile moment, the future teetered on the edge of uncertainty, where every decision could lead to revelation or destruction. What lay ahead could either bind them to a past riddled with fear, or free them to rise anew in the light of truth. Emma pressed her knuckles softly against the door, poised to uncover what lurked behind the carefully constructed barriers of her family's secrets. As she stood there, heart racing, the question loomed large: was she ready for the fallout of this confrontation? The moment her knuckles made contact with the door, a cascade of emotions surged through Emma, a dizzying mixture of hope, fear, and an intoxicating sense of purpose. The prospect of unearthing the truth both terrified and exhilarated her. Would the confrontation lead to healing or, instead, to further fractures in her family? Before she could lose her nerve, her mother's voice, tight and clear, called from inside, "Emma, is that you? Come in." The invitation hung in the air, thick with tension and expectation. With a deep breath, Emma pushed the door open. The room was dimly lit, the curtains drawn tightly as if to keep the outside world at bay. Her parents were seated together on the edge of the bed, their expressions a mix of concern and anticipation. The air felt electric, charged with unspoken words. "Emma, we need to talk about what happened today," her mother began, her voice steadier than Emma expected. "You've put us all in a very difficult position." "Difficult?" Emma echoed, the word spilling out before she could stop it. "You've ignored this for years. You're the ones who created this situation." Her father shifted uncomfortably, his eyes darting to the floor. The very act of speaking up felt liberating. It was as though with each word, she dismantled walls that had loomed over her for far too long. "Do you really think we didn't want to say anything?" He finally interjected, his tone strained. "You don't understand what you've done. This isn't just about you, it's about all of us." "Exactly, it's about all of us. It's about Lily." Emma's voice surged, imbued with a resolve that shocked even herself. "This isn't just about protecting our image. It's about giving her a voice, a chance to live without fear of our family's secrets suffocating her." Her mother recoiled slightly, taken aback by the intensity of Emma's words. "You don't understand what repercussions this can have. You'll make a mockery of everything we've built." "Built?" Emma laughed bitterly, a knot forming in her stomach. "You've built a facade, a prison made of silence. Don't you see it? I can't keep pretending everything is fine. I'm tired of living by everyone else's rules." A moment of silence stretched between them, the weight of her words settling like dust in the air. For the first time, Emma felt the delicate balance of authority shifting under her feet. Could they truly face the truth together? Or were these walls too entrenched in their identities? Emma, her mother's tone softened, revealing a hint of vulnerability. "We were trying to protect you. We thought it was better this way." "Protect me from what?" Emma hesitated, grappling with her own emotions. The unfurling layers of grief, anger, and pain threatened to flood her. From the truth? From each other? Her gaze shifted to her father, searching for acknowledgement of the complexity of their situation. "You wanted to protect Lily too, didn't you? But how is silencing our past ever going to help her?" As the silence deepened, she realized something profound. While she fought for Lily, she also fought for herself. With every confrontation, she was peeling back layers of complacency, rediscovering the strength she had buried for so long. Before she could reflect on the significance of this realization, her father spoke, the sorrow in his voice palpable. "There's something else I need to tell you. Something that may change everything." Emma's heart raced anew. This was at the intersection of revelation and confrontation. She could feel the ground shifting beneath her, the potential for transformation brimming in the air. "What is it?" Emma pressed, the urgency of the moment forcing her to maintain her resolve. The family truth was no longer just a shadow lurking in the hallways of her past. It was about to come into the light, and Emma steeled herself for whatever may come. As her father prepared to share his hidden truth, a single thought reverberated in Emma's mind: had she truly prepared herself for everything this revelation could entail? What if this altered the fabric of her understanding of her family entirely? Another wave of uncertainty washed over her. In the moments that followed, the weight of everything hung heavily on the precipice of change, threatening to shift the very ground they stood on. The air was thick with tension as Emma waited for her father to gather his thoughts. She could see the torment etched deep in his eyes, a reflection of his own internal battle. This was the moment that they had long avoided. And yet here they were, teetering on the brink of a revelation that had the potential to redefine everything they had ever known. "Emma," he began slowly, each word like a stone cast into still water. "What I'm about to tell you, it's about your sister, Lily. And it also concerns your mother and me." Emma clenched her fists, a cascade of emotions bubbling to the surface. She felt a mix of dread and determination coiling within her. "Just say it, Dad. We can't keep dancing around the truth. Years ago, when we adopted Lily, there were conditions we agreed to, truths we hid to protect her," he confessed, his voice faltering under the weight of his words. "We weren't just trying to shelter you. We were trying to shelter her from a legacy that could haunt her." The truth hit Emma like a jolt. "What do you mean? What legacy?" Her father's gaze drifted to the floor, a heaviness settling on his shoulders. Lily's biological parents, they were involved in dangerous activities. They left behind chaos that could follow her. "We thought adopting her and changing her identity would give her a fresh start. A clean slate." Emma's mind raced. The implications were staggering. "So you concealed her past to protect her? But don't you see? You've only put another layer between her and who she really is." The realization struck her. Hard truth held power, but their silence cultivated shadows. She felt a swell of responsibility. She wanted to speak for both Lily and herself. "Emma, we never meant for this to become a burden. We thought we were doing the right thing," her mother interjected, her voice trembling. "We wanted to keep her from the darkness, away from that world." Emma's heart thudded painfully as she confronted the reality of her family's choices. They had built a wall, thinking they were defending Lily, while inadvertently isolating her from her past. But that's not how you help someone heal or grow. You can't just erase someone's identity because it's uncomfortable. Her father looked up, desperation flickering in his eyes. "What do you want us to do, Emma? You think it's easy to carry the burden of that truth? It doesn't matter what I want if you keep hiding," she exclaimed, feeling her voice rise again. "This is more than just a family secret. This is about a little girl's future. The very thing you feared could be the very thing that sets her free." For the first time, Emma recognized a sliver of hope amidst the chaos. A growing conviction took root within her. The notion that confronting the past could lead to liberation rather than destruction. Yet the complexity of their situation weighed heavily on her. For every step toward clarity, she felt an equal pull of doubt, uncertainty gnawing at the edges of her consciousness. What if confronting it only makes things worse? Her mother whispered, the fear in her voice a clear indication of an unstable foundation. "No," Emma countered, softened by the vulnerability of the moment. "What if it's the last chance for Lily to understand who she is, to know she is not defined by others' mistakes? She deserves the truth. We all need to face it." As the room quieted, Emma caught her breath, her eyes darting between her parents. The desperation radiating from her father contrasted sharply with her mother's apprehension. It occurred to her then that perhaps to move forward, they all needed to dismantle their defenses. But could they truly embrace the chaos they were facing? Or would they default to old habits? The looming confrontation seemed overshadowed by an even larger question. Could they unite as a family and brave the storm together? As Emma considered her next move, a new uncertainty crept in. If they moved forward, how would they reconstruct their fractured family under the weight of shared truths? The thought churned in her mind, spiraling into a question of identity and belonging that felt increasingly more volatile by the second. With determination but trepidation, Emma whispered, "What if we face this together, regardless of what lies ahead? What if unveiling everything is the path to redemption?" A heavy silence fell, but in it lay a profound question. Were they prepared to face the aftermath of this hidden truth, knowing it might very well reshape the contours of their family forever? Emma took a deep breath, the weight of her proposal hanging in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. In that fleeting silence, she was struck by how each second elongated, stretching the tension among them to a nearly unbearable point. Her heart raced, driven by her need for resolution, but beneath the surface, she questioned her own strength. Could she navigate the treacherous sea of family secrets and emerge with everyone intact? Her mother's gaze flicked back to her father, seeking comfort, understanding, or perhaps some guiding force. Emma recognized the moment as pivotal. This was the turning point where they would either choose the path of truth or retreat into the shadows once again. "Are we really prepared for what that means?" her father finally said, the tremor in his voice betraying both his fear and the urgency pulsating through the room. "Unveiling the past, it could tear us apart instead of bringing us closer." "It might," Emma agreed, steadying her voice. "But I believe it could also be our chance to finally connect with Lily, to give her what she deserves. We've kept so much from her, and living a lie will only continue to isolate her." She felt her words resonating, echoing the truths that had long dwelled in her heart. Emma understood now that confronting their long-held fears about Lily's past wasn't merely an act of exposure. It was a courageous step toward genuine understanding and belonging. Stepping forward with resolve, she added, "We can't let fear dictate our choices any longer. Hiding from our past will only perpetuate the cycle of shame and secrecy. Lily deserves to know the truth, as do we." The air in the room shifted, and she could see her parents grappling with her perspective. With every heartfelt statement, she felt the swell of hope beginning to unfurl within her, an instinctive realization that they were standing on the threshold of something transformative. "What if we don't have the strength to handle it?" Her mother's voice quivered, her fear palpable. "What if our past cannot be changed? What if it destroys her?" Emma's thoughts spun as she struggled to balance her own urge to comfort her mother with the unsettling knowledge that they could not allow those fears to dictate their actions any longer. "We've survived this long under a false narrative," Emma replied, steadying her nerves. "How much longer do we expect to keep hiding? If anything, confronting the truth can lead us to healing together. Right now, we are just prolonging the pain." Her father sighed, uncertainty etched deeply into his features. The weight of realization must have settled upon him like a heavy shroud. But Emma saw something flicker behind his eyes, the faint glimmer of acceptance battling the ferocity of denial. "What if we help Lily write her own story?" Emma suggested, emboldened. "Instead of allowing her to discover it alone, and feeling like it's a punishment or a burden, we can be there as a family to support her. Guide her through the storm we've too long avoided. This could be our moment, Dad. Our chance to break the cycle." Still tense, her parents' emotional defenses appeared to soften, each moment gradually giving way to consideration rather than instinctive fear. Emma sensed the potential of change stirring in the undercurrents of their long-standing dynamics, a chance for authentic connections that had evaded them for far too long. "Then let us do it," her father finally spoke, steeling himself with a blend of anxiety and determination. "We face our fears together." The agreement hung in the air like a cornerstone, a fragile promise that could just as easily shatter as solidify. Emma felt both exhilarated and terrified. The prospect of what lay ahead loomed large before her. Yet within this powerful moment was an opportunity for growth, a reckoning that could heal the fractured pieces of their lives. But as they embraced this new path forward, a question lingered in her mind. Had they truly prepared themselves for the realities of facing the past? Or were they merely on the cusp of a much deeper challenge than they anticipated? The winds of change were blowing, but Emma wondered, as tension rippled through her, if they would be strong enough to weather the storm yet to come. Each day that followed felt like a double-edged sword for Emma. The decision had been made. They would confront their past. But as the initial momentum of resolve faded, apprehension seeped into her thoughts like a thick fog. What exactly did facing the truth entail? The more she thought about the intricacies of their family's hidden narratives, the more daunting the task appeared. Emma kept reminding herself that unveiling the truth was meant to liberate them, but she couldn't shake the gnawing fear that it might also leave them even more fragmented. In the days leading up to their first family meeting, Emma meticulously prepared. She collected documents, photos, anything that could piece together Lily's fragmented story. It was vital that Lily knew she had the support of her entire family. Emma waded through years of memories, forcing herself to review her own childhood feelings of abandonment and secrecy. Each image felt like a bludgeon, each file a reminder of the pain they all had harbored. At night, she lay in bed, her mind racing with unresolved tensions. What would Lily think when she learned the truth? Emma often envisioned a chaotic whirlwind of emotions: sadness, anger, perhaps even betrayal. Would she find comfort in understanding why things had been kept from her? Or would it deepen her feelings of isolation? One evening, as Emma scrolled through her phone, she came across a video of a conversation between activists discussing the power of storytelling. It was captivating. People unveiling their truths, sharing their scars with the hope of healing. Inspired, Emma presented the video to her parents, gauging their reactions. As they watched, Emma felt a glimmer of hope spark within her. Maybe we should share our own stories too, she suggested tentatively. Her mother's eyes glistened with unshed tears. I'm not sure I am ready for that, she said. Emma's heart plummeted. She wasn't merely pushing her family to face their past for her sake. She was trying to open a door to a new path. Yet she quickly shifted her perspective. Maybe understanding their fears would help facilitate their willingness to share. Mom, I know this is hard, she gently encouraged. But sharing could lessen the burden we've all been carrying. That night stirred something profound within Emma. She began drafting a letter to Lily, attempting to encapsulate their family's history as tenderly as possible. Words flowed from her heart, weaving both vulnerability and hope. It morphed into a testament of understanding, marking the transition from fear to vulnerability. Emma woke up the next day, resolve coursing through her veins. They had tackled so much, yet this felt different. This was about embracing their truths and empowering Lily to write her own narrative. She put together a list of each family member's stories, aiming to create a cohesive tapestry of their experiences. But who would take the first step in sharing this with Lily? Each family member had their own fears, insecurities, and burdens, and Emma couldn't help but wonder if they'd manage to rally together in unity. On the eve of their big meeting, Emma gathered her mother and father in the living room, the air thick with anticipation. We all must share our parts, she urged, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Can we not start by sharing with each other before involving Lily? Her father's hesitance was palpable, invoking a sense of trepidation within Emma. Would her family truly be able to do this together? Together, she emphasized. We owe it to each other, and we owe it to her. Yet, as the meeting approached, Emma questioned whether they were truly prepared for the cascade that unearthing buried truths would instigate. Would their efforts build a bridge or merely lay bare their fractures? As she finalized her notes, a question loomed over her. What truths were they hiding from themselves that could unravel in the process? The dawn of their reckoning awaited, echoing with the urgency of unearthing shadows. Emma took one last glance at her letter and thought, the moment of truth is almost here, but is it one we're ready to face? Emma's anticipation turned into restless energy as the day of the family meeting arrived. The clock seemed to mock her, dragging its hands while her heart raced with every passing second. She needed to maintain her composure. The success of their gathering hinged on her ability to facilitate the unfolding of their truths without collapsing under the weight of her own fears. As they sat in a circle in the dimly lit living room, Emma drew in a deep breath, wishing to erase the cracks of uncertainty with every exhale. Her father shifted in his seat, the force of his nerves vibrating through the room. Her mother's wringing hands revealed the shift in her emotional landscape, and Emma understood then that they were all wrestling with their own unsaid fears. Before we bring Lily into this, let us just talk, Emma proposed, her voice steady but soft. We need to understand our own stories first. Each word resonated in her mind, a reminder of the burden they shared. Her mother spoke first, hesitating at the threshold of her thoughts. I've carried guilt for so long, for not being there as much as I should have been. The admission was a fragile thing, one that cracked open the floodgates of hidden struggles. Emma's heart wept for her mother, but also swelled with a strange kind of pride. This was the start of their healing. I thought I was protecting you all, her mother continued, tears streaming down her cheeks. I thought keeping those memories buried would shield you, but it only made everything worse. Emma felt a pang of recognition. She had held on to the belief that silence was a shield, but now in this moment, it was clear that it had only crafted walls around them. But maybe it's time to take those walls down, she suggested gently. If we share our stories, we can finally understand each other. Her father's brow furrowed, tension palpable. But what if our truths hurt Lily? What if she can't handle it? That concern sent a wave of unease through Emma. What if the revelations shattered Lily's sense of self? But to withhold the truth felt like a denial of healing, a denial of growth. Isn't it better that she hears it from us, with love, rather than slowly piecing it together from whispers and half-truths? With a deep, pained sigh, her father nodded slowly. You're right. We can't let this continue. Their collective awakening hung in the silence, a shift from fear to courage blossoming amidst the fog of uncertainty. Yet as they shared, Emma found herself grappling with the maze of her own insecurities. She had been preparing for Lily's story, but what about her own? Did she truly want to expose her own fractures? The thought weighed on her as she watched her parents unearth the layers of their past, letting raw emotions breathe for the first time in years. Can we just admit that we've struggled? Emma interjected suddenly, surprising even herself. I felt like I've constantly had to hold it together, being the one to keep us all afloat. But inside I'm crumbling. I don't always know how to make sense of everything. Their shocked expressions brought clarity. To share her own vulnerabilities meant relinquishing the facade she'd built. Yet it was liberating. In revealing her own struggle, she could model what sharing the truth looked like, encouraging her parents to embrace their own imperfections without judgment. As the meeting unfolded, Emma's thoughts spiraled into one pivotal realization. The journey of this truth was far more intricate than she had anticipated, exposing the tangled web of their shared pain and guilt. What had begun as a mission to support Lily now reflected their own reflections in a painful mirror, each revealing what they had strived to conceal. With every shared revelation, the room grew heavier yet brighter, the burdens of silence slowly lifting. But the question still lingered, hovering in the air. How would they present this newfound honesty to Lily? And what if their truths were more than she could comprehend? The stage was set for a deeper confrontation between hope and fear. As Emma prepared herself to draft a plan to broach the subject with Lily, a flicker of doubt ignited at the back of her mind. Were they truly ready for the fallout this discussion with Lily would follow? The moment of truth approached. The real battle loomed just beyond the horizon. Emma sat alone in her dimly lit bedroom, grappling with the echoes of the family meeting. The walls felt tighter now, the weight of unspoken truths pressing against her chest. Having opened the floodgates of vulnerability with her parents, she knew that the next step lay ahead, unraveling Lily's narrative. As she stared out the window, the world outside seemed to mock her newfound resolve. Her mind swirled with questions. How would they convey their past to Lily without overwhelming her? Would it be wrong to shield her from their darker truths? Or would that continue the cycle of silence? Uncertainty gnawed at her. Emma picked up her notebook, a refuge for her thoughts, flipping to a blank page. Words flowed as she scribbled potential approaches, yet each idea felt inadequate. She envisioned their conversation with Lily, the delicate balance of honesty against the potential for pain, and hesitated. Would her resolve hold up when faced with her sister's innocent curiosity, her earnest need for clarity? Doubt settled in and she paused. You have to be strong, Emma, she whispered to herself, as if words alone could anchor her resolve. Strength had always been her disguise. plastering a smile across her face while chaos reigned beneath. The truth hid beneath layers of expectation, tethering her to a past that felt as much a part of her as her own identity. As the evening deepened, she felt the urge to confront her shadows. Emma initiated her search, turning not just to the words of reassurance offered by books, but to deeper introspection. What did she really want? To protect Lily? To mend their fractured family? Or perhaps to dismantle the walls she had unknowingly erected around her heart? Determined, she leaned into the discomfort. Each flick of her pen revealed defining moments of clarity. The first was that protecting Lily could not come at the cost of living in truth herself. They would need to face the ramifications of their shared history together, revealing those vulnerabilities to allow Lily's own growth. Emma's heart raced as she envisioned how transformative this could be, not just for Lily, but for all of them. Could her admission of weakness be the catalyst for deeper connections? A family shaped by understanding instead of fear? In that moment, she realized her role had shifted. She was not merely a support for her family. She was an architect of their healing, tasked with constructing the fragile bridges that led to deeper connection. That night, guiding her pen, she formulated the plan. "We must set aside our fears and embrace raw honesty," she wrote, reframing her doubts into strategic steps forward. "Begin with our stories, layer by layer, until we reach the core." The air felt charged with potential as she scrawled down her commitments to herself, not just to embrace vulnerability, but to inspire it in her family. Exhilaration coursed through her veins, pushing away the lingering doubts. She was stepping into the unknown, a territory ripe with possibility and pain, but that was exactly where growth lay. Suddenly, her phone buzzed across her desk, snapping her from her reverie. It was a message from Lily, asking Emma if they could spend time together tomorrow. The request felt like a divine agreement, the universe handing her the opportunity to test her resolve. The next move would set the stage not only for their individual truths, but for familial unity, the breath of life that could heal old wounds. Yet, as a flicker of anxiety settled in, she couldn't shake the nagging fear. What if the very act of revealing their truths did more harm than good? Would she be strong enough to face whatever revelations lay on the horizon? The stage was now set, and Emma understood she stood at the precipice of a pivotal moment, the potential for transformation glimmering ahead. Would this encounter with Lily cultivate the understanding they desperately needed? Or would it fracture the fragile bonds further? The real battle was about to commence. Emma stood in front of the mirror, her reflection revealing a newfound strength radiating from her core. The following day would mark a turning point, a confrontation with the past that, despite her fears, felt inevitable. As she meticulously arranged a few visual aids meant to ease Lily into the complexities of their shared history, she recognized her own evolution. No longer sheltered by uncertainty, she was ready to pave the path toward honesty. The next morning, Emma met Lily with an open heart. Sitting across from her at the breakfast table, she conjured images of their childhood days filled with laughter, adventures, and an unshakable bond. Lily had always been a beacon of light in Emma's life, but now, she needed to be that guiding force for Lily. "Can we talk about something important today?" Emma began, her voice steady, underscoring the gravity of the moment. She was ready to embrace vulnerability, knowing it was the bridge to the truth they needed to navigate together. Lily nodded, curiosity illuminating her bright eyes. "Is it about my birth parents?" The question hung in the air, suspended, as if already entwined with the truth that would soon be unveiled. As they delved into the complexities of Lily's origins, Emma felt both the weight of the past and the promise of healing entwined in her words. "Your story is an important part of who you are. It includes aspects that are dark and challenging, but it also showcases your courage and resilience," Emma said, feeling the moment shift from anxiety to empowerment. Lily listened intently, the innocence in her expressions gradually morphing into understanding. Emma saw flashes of concern cross her sister's features, yet Lily remained engaged, eager for the entire narrative to be told. It reinforced Emma's belief that confronting the truth together could forge deeper connections rather than divide them. "I don't want to hurt you, Lily. But part of living authentically means we must wrestle with our past," Emma continued, allowing her sister to absorb the reality of their history. She noted every flicker of emotion cascading across Lily's face, each an indication that this shared truth was beginning to weave their narratives together. By the end of their conversation, Emma could sense a shift not just in Lily, but within herself as well. The fears that had once paralyzed her seemed to dissipate like morning mist, replaced by the warm glow of fulfillment. Lily's acceptance of the complexities of her life was proof that their bond had only strengthened, now anchored in truth and honesty. "Can we be okay, Emma?" Lily's voice trembled, searching for reassurance after together uncovering the shadows they had avoided for too long. Emma smiled, overcoming the residual worry that occasionally creeped in. "Of course we can, Lily. Truths will sometimes pain us, but they'll also set us free. We will navigate this together. I promise." Each syllable was laced with conviction, a declaration of solidarity for them both. Weeks rolled into months, and as the layers of the past peeled away, Emma found herself flourishing. She became more than a sister. She had transformed into a vigilant guardian for Lily, honoring her narrative and embracing the vibrancy of their relationship. In uncomfortable moments, Emma discovered strength and vulnerability, enabling her to cultivate genuine connections not just with Lily, but in all facets of her life. Professionally, the confidence she gained seeped into her work as a lawyer. Driven by her experiences, Emma sought cases championing family integrity and societal truth, breathing life into the legal principles she held dear. Each case she took on became a testament to a new perspective, resonating with the experience she had shared with Lily. She was not just fighting battles against obscurity, but inviting clarity into lives that yearned for resolution. Recognition soon followed, as Emma's tireless passion led her to win significant cases that broke new ground in family law, establishing her as an advocate for those who had been silent for too long. As she stood in her office one day, contemplating her journey, Emma felt confident knowing she had nurtured courage not only in herself, but had also equipped her sister to thrive fearlessly in her truths. She'd proven that vulnerability can lead to flourishing, that healing is indeed possible without neglecting one's past. Looking out the window at the vibrant city below, Emma mused that every shadow had transformed into an opportunity for growth. The journey ahead would undoubtedly come with its own challenges, but she knew she was ready to face them fully equipped with the irreplaceable skills she had cultivated. The once paralyzing fear of the unknown had transformed into a grounded belief in her ability to navigate complexity and to embrace the light that honesty brings. Emma had charted her path, one step at a time, and had finally established herself not just as a daughter or a sister, but as an unwavering force for truth and resilience. She had accomplished what once felt insurmountable. She had forged a new legacy anchored in transparency and understanding. Now is the time to take action. Subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss the next incredible emotional stories. Leave a like now to help us reach more people who need to hear these powerful transformations. Comment your personal reactions and theories about this journey. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this uplifting conclusion. You need to show your support because only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand just how important these actions are for the growth of our community. Don't wait even one more second.